Congratulations again about being under contract. It's certainly an exciting time. In this video, we're going to talk about what to expect in relation to the home inspection. Oftentimes I will hear my sellers say, both either just prior to the inspection or at a listing appointment, that my home is perfect, it's newer, they're not going to find any issues. The one thing I'll say to that is home inspectors are definitely paid to find deficiencies in your home. So if you have a newer home, yes, the likelihood of not finding any deficiencies is higher. But inspectors will always find something. You may have a small leak in the roof that you didn't know about. There might be an electrical box in the attic that wasn't properly sealed up, that missed the home building process. And obviously if you have an older home built in the 50s or 60s or even down into the 30s, there's a higher chance that there's going to be some old code versus new code items that are found. The actual inspection will be scheduled through what we're currently using as showing time as a showing service. So the inspector will call just as if it was a showing to get the approval time. Typically they range between 1.5 to 4.5 hours. I know that's a large range, but it also depends on your property. If you're in a 1,600 square foot 1-story versus a 4,000 square foot 2-story with a pool and sitting on an acre, obviously that's going to take a little bit longer. So when the inspector schedules his appointment, he or she they'll block out the time that they deem necessary. And so you'll see that on the showing time inquiry. Please note that the buyers will likely be there. Of all of our home inspections, I would say probably 95% of the buyers do attend. And partly it's because they want to fall more in love with your property. They've only spent a few minutes in your home during the showing, and they really want to spend a quality amount of time in there to really get to know the house. Typically, they also want to measure for furniture, and they want to take measurements for things like refrigerators and things like that. They also want to be there because sometimes when the inspector finds something, the buyer would like to see firsthand. So the inspector will show the buyer what it is that he's referencing rather than it just being on a piece of paper. So just know it's still a courtship. We're still courting the buyer. Even though we've negotiated contract terms, this is still a process of negotiation with repairs that comes back from the inspection report. So by allowing them in for this time, just know that we're courting them, and we certainly do appreciate it, and know that the buyer does as well. I do ask that you not be home for the inspection. Generally speaking, that hasn't turned out to be beneficial to either party. Some sellers like to be there so they can hear what the inspector says, and then they feel like they can counterpoint them. But I promise you, most of the time when inspectors leave in those situations, they say you have a beautiful home, and they move on out the front door. And they do that because they don't want to be combative. They don't want to create an argument right there, because they know sellers are very proud of their property. So then you get the inspection report and it has deficiencies on it, and then you get the repair request that has deficiencies on it. So if you can, just step away from the house during the inspection time. This will really be the last time that you'll be away from your home from any large block of time before closing. So this will be the last burden in relation to that. Please know that we do need to have your utilities on. This is especially important if your home is vacant right now. If you are home and there's a large window of time and you'd like the inspector to call or text you when the inspection's done, please feel free to leave a note on the kitchen countertop, and the inspector will do so about 30 minutes prior to leaving. I can also help facilitate that as well. If you need me to get involved, I'm happy to help coordinate that. And believe it or not, we've actually had some sellers who have left a note for the buyers, have left cookies and drinks for both the inspector and the home buyers, and it just kind of helps grease the transaction and again, proceed forward with this courtship. Sometimes after the general home inspection, the inspector will note something about the roof appears to need an inspection by a roofer or an insurance adjuster. HVAC might need to have a professional look by a professional company. So just know that sometimes additional visits will be scheduled with the buyer's agent and the buyers to check out those items. Those will also be scheduled through the showing service, so you'll be fully aware of those. Once they've concluded their inspection process, then typically within 24 to 48 hours, the buyer will give us a response. I will say this is their time. So in a 7-day inspection period, some buyers and buyer's agents get on it, and on day 2, they have the inspection, right? And that's really good. We like to make progress. But some are out of town and they're not able to get to the home until the 5th day, and they want to be there for the inspection. So sometimes they'll schedule a little later on. And that can be a little bit of a pressure point, because if the inspection happens on day 5, they get us the repairs on day 6, or their repair request on day 6, and then the option period expires on day 7. That can create a little bit of a pressure zone, but just know that I'll work with you as efficiently as possible to get this remedied to where we negotiate terms that both parties are happy with. We can extend the option period. It's usually not desirable, because by doing so, basically it's extending the buyer's option to back out of the contract. So if we can keep them within the original parameters of the option period days, that's preferred. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, I know this was a lot of content, please feel free to call, text, or email me. You know where I'm at. We've been calling, texting, emailing each other all this time. So congratulations again. This is an exciting time. Don't be nervous about the inspection. I'll walk you through it, and I'll definitely be in touch the second I hear from the buyers after their inspection. Thank you.